Hello friend, welcome to all of you in this topic number 3, the paying banker, and the lecture number 1 in the topic number 3. So this lecture we looking the meaning of paying banker and precaution in payment of the customer check. In the previous lecture we discussed about the negotiable instrument, various negotiable instruments like the check, bill of exchange and the promissory note. Here we looking the paying banker duties in about the paying the customer checks. So in the topic number 3 we looking the definition and meaning of the paying banker. Also we looking here the precaution in the payment of the customer check and the right and duties of paying bankers, the statutory protection to paying banker in Negotiable Instrument Act, the payment of part check and reason of the return of the checks throughout the paying banker. So what is the paying banker? The Negotiable Instrument Act laid down the letting the payment of customer check by the banker and also protection available to the banker to the paying of the customer check. The relation between the banker and customer is the debtor and creditor. So paying banker should use the reasonable care to whenever the pay the customer checks amount to the pay or the parties, because if any mistake taken by the paying bank is the loss and damage of the customer credit, and there are the obligations on the paying banker or the drawee. So there is obligation and the crucial importance of the paying bankers to take precaution whenever they pay the customer check. So if he honor a check through the oversight and when are no fund in the customer's account, that time he may be lost his money. The dishonor of the other side of the check, that time also damage of the customers the credit. So there may be wrongful dishonor, there will be damage of the customers, and there the compensation claimed by the customer on the paying bank. So the banker is the cord between the devil and Dead Sea. The one side is the take a precaution to pay off the customer check, and the other side they take a proper care of the not dishonor of their negotiable instrument like the check. So here we looking the meaning of the paying banker. What is meant by paying banker? The topic number 3 is about the paying banker. Paying banker is a banker on whom check is drawn should be paid the check when it is the presented for the payment. It's called the payment bank or paying banker. A paying banker is a banker on whom the check is drawn should be paid the check when it is the presented for the payment. Like the drawee is the payment bank. A paying banker is one who the drawee bank who pay on the check of his customer. So behalf of their customer, the paying bank pay the check of his customer. So thus the duty of the paying banker is great responsibility and great care and caution about the payment of their customer check. The fund of the customer in the bank account is payable on demand, honoring of check which are the draw by the customer and presented by the limited holders. So paying banker is a drawee who pay the customer check in behalf of their customer. So definition of the paying banker in as per the Negotiable Instrument Act. The meaning: the term of paying banker is referred to the position and duties of the drawee bank with to the payment of checks drawn on it by its customer. So paying banker refer to the position and the duties of the drawee bank and with the payment of check draw on its customer. So bank, which is the payment of their customer, behalf of their customer, it's the payment bank. A paying banker undertakes to the honor his customer check up to the amount of credit balance in the current or up to limit of any agreed overdraft under the condition stipulated in the section number 126, section 127 and 129 of the Negotiable Instrument Act 1881. So paying banker is the Indian context. The paying banker they undertakes the honor of his customer checks up to the amount of credit balance in the current or up the limit any agreed overdraft under the section of the 126, 127, 129 of Negotiable Instrument Act. So next point is about the precaution take in the payment bank whenever they pay the customer checks. Here we are looking the specimen of the check. Open and cross checks. What are the precautions taken by the paying banker the payment of the open and cross check? The first thing that the banker should see that when the check is present him the payment at the counter, it see whether it's open or cross check. In the cross check there or it is the general crossing or special crossing. General crossing mean the left side of the check there is the two parallel line, and the special crossing there are the mentioned some words like the not negotiable, account pay only. So if generally the holder should be asked to the present it through the banker is the general crossing, and special cross through the banker whom the cross some other man acting as the agent of the collecting for the banker name. So Bank of Maharashtra only and the Bank of India only. So that time it is the special cross. So if the bank accepted the such check, that means the honoring of the check, and some damage true owner from the banker, so banker pay him the compensation as per the Act section 29. So whenever any damage to the customer's credit, that time there is the compensation is mentioned in the Negotiable Act, the section 129. The next precaution taken by the bank, the payable at the particular place. So whether the check is drawn upon the particular branch or office, the bank at which they presented, means the payable at Nasik only, payable at Pune only, or particular branch only. So this should be take a precaution by the paying bank. Because of no branch or office other than one at which the customer has account ordinarily required to meet his check. If the customer is travel in the another city and he applied his bank authorized its branch or agent in place where they visited to cash that the customer check up to an agreed limit. So that time the customer used the travel check. So in the travel situation, the one city to another city, the customer given the special precaution to about the bank. So I think that there is the payable at the particular place. But for the such request, the specimen signature of the customer is sent to the branch or the agent of concern. So here we are looking the payable at the particular place, the precaution taken by the paying bank whenever check the pay to the at the particular place. The next is about the mutilated checks or wrongful check, meaning the banker that is the should examine before the owner of the check. It see that is not the mutilated or cancel or the torn. So sometimes the use in the customs there are some damage of the check. That's why the mutilated check is not passing by the any paying bank. If the banker honor a check which is the torn or damaged, the left side, right side, upper side or the lower side, so any side there is the torn or damaged by the customer in such manner which giving the sufficient proof of his intention is the cancel it, the banker cannot be debit the customer account with the amount of the check, but if the check is the torn accidentally, so the drawer must be confirm it the writing accidentally torn by me and the affix is the signature or thereon. So accidentally the damage the upper side, left side, the top side by the customer, that time the banker take the in return the customer is the torn the check, the damage the check accidentally. Otherwise the bank should not be pay the amount of check or honor of this check. So bank is take a precaution about the mutilated, wrongful or damaged check. The next precaution is about the correctness of the form. So every bank is provide the specific checkbook, means like form. The banker fourthly should be make himself sure that the instrument is draw is form. It is duly dated and fully confirmed when it is presented him, and the legal definition of the check. So that today's time the every bank they provide the printed checkbook for their customer, and bank check whether their specimen is matched with their printed copy or not. No difficulty arises when the customer use the printed format to supply to him his banker, and but if the check has been drawn on the ordinary slip or paper, the paying banker should be take particular care that it is not a conditional order. So correctness of the form, whenever the bank provides the printed checkbook, there is nothing to worry, but whenever the customer is draw money with use of the slip or ordinary paper, that time paying bank take a proper precaution. So correctness of form is the necessary to check by the paying banker. The next is the risk in honoring the post dated check. The fifth thing is the banker should be remembered with regard of honoring of check the presented is that check should be neither be post dated or not stale checks. So not the present with the after date or the before of the date, it's be important in the paying of the customer checks. So risk in the honoring of the post dated check or the stale check. The customer may stop the payment before of the date the check, and in case of the banker has honor before the date, the banker may lose his money. So sometimes the customer given the instruction to their banker about the issue of check and stop the payment of the particular check because of the insufficient balance of any of the reasons. In not to provide reason but given instruction, that time bank also follow the order of his customer. If the banker pay the post dated check before its due date and holders is until the mature the customer may be meantime become insolvent, insolvent or the die. So in the such case the banker would have no right to debit to his customer account. So the post dated check, so if the banker pays the post dated check, there are the many cases happen about the insolvency and the insane or the die of the customer. So bank is not honoring the post dated check of their customer. The other thing is looking in the post dated check risk. The banker paying the post dated check cannot be claimed a statutory protection as the payment cannot be regarded as having been made in due course. So there is no protection to paying banker against the post dated checks, honoring the post dated check or paying the post dated check. So they need to take a proper precaution of the paying bank. It is equally essential for the paying banker to see that check is presented is not a stale or outdated check. So date is important contained into the check. The right side of the corner we see that there is the right written some numbers. The check means the date, and after the writing of date the check is valid only 3 months. So check is said to be stale when it is been in circulation for an unreasonably for more than 6 months. A stale check may be honored by the draw bank after getting is confirmed by the draw. Recently the this maturity period is only 3 months and the previously it is the 6 months. So after the 3 months when the check is presented in the bank for the payment, it's a stale check. So bank take a precaution the honoring of the check, it is stale check or post dated check. So there is the important the date on the check for the payment of the customer check or the pay. The next thing is when the amount in the word and figure is the differ. So sometimes the amount of payable should be absolutely certain unless the instrument possesses this requisite, it cannot be regarded as the valid check. So the amount of payable should be absolutely certain, and unless the instrument possesses this requisite, it cannot be regarded as the valid check. So therefore, the banker should be take care about the satisfy himself that the amount has not been the altered, and if has been that, then alteration duly supported by his customer's fully signature, and if it has been that the negotiable instrument. So like here we looking the one format of check, the Bank of Maharashtra, the 27th October 2020. Here writing the customer the mistakenly 10,000 rupees only in word correctly, but in the figures he write only the 1,000. So whenever the any alteration the made by the drawer and the customer, that time bank the take the signature of the customer. When they erase the date of the check, that time bank also take the signature of the customer. So when the amount of the check is the differ in the word and figure, that time bank need to take precaution about the paying of customer check. Next is about the working hours. The recently RBI changed the working hours. The banks in city and multi city area and metropolitan city area, there is the beginning time of the banking hours is the 9 am to the 4 pm, and generally the time is the 11 am to 5 pm. So not to pay out of banking hours is the precaution about the paying of customer check. The bank is required to honor check draw on him, provided they are presented on the working day and during the banking hours. The however are not supposed to be suspended the business operation as soon as the clock strictly the closing hours. It is to be noted that the banker that while making a payment of check after office hours, there is the risk that the drawer may be stop the payment of the check of next morning. So after the banking hours like the 5 pm, he may be stop the payment of the check and give an instruction to the bank, and bank give payment after the working hours. It is the risk damage of the customer credit or the damage of money, and then the customer claim or compensate his amount on the paying bank. If the check is paid after office hours on the previous day, the bank is likely to be held liable to the drawer for the amount of the check if it cannot be recovered from the pay. If the pay is not able to return the money, is not possible to return money, that liability on the bank the return the money of the customer. So bank should take a proper precaution about the not the pay out the banking hours, not the pay the check the after the banking hours, within the banking hours only. The next thing, the rising amount. There is the alternation in the check. Sometimes the sum in the fraud check and the fraud cases, the some customer is the try to rising the amount in the check. The banker should examine carefully that the amount of the check has not been altered. The bank generally use the ultraviolet rays for the detection of the forgeries, both regarding the amount of check and the signature of their drawers and their customers. Sometimes some people are rising the 10 in the amount, rising the some words into the in words. So there should be proper precaution taken by the paying banker. There is no rise the amount in the word or figures. So that should be taken precaution by the paying bank about the rising amount. The next is the check with the material alteration. The check is the amount of the large which have been probably altered from the larger into the smaller sum need not be paid without the confirmation, their draw, any alternation or correction. To the valid must made be with the concern, the drawer and confirmed by his full signature. Sometimes by mistakenly the customer made the some alternation, that time the banker take the signature of the customer. So for the validation of the check. But other than the customers or drawers, some person try to raising the amount or the any alternation in the check, that is the not allowed by the paying bank. For an example of the material alteration, the alteration of the debt, sometimes debt is changed by the some person. Alteration of debt, the foreign holder can be secure the payment of post dated check or stale check. The stale check is the present to the alteration in the debt, which is the banker is not authorized to make. So check with the material alternation check by the paying bank is the necessary when they pay the customer checks. The another example of the material alternation is given here. The alternation of the place of the payment. Sometimes the payable at Nasik and the customer try to change the place on the check. The or alternation of the payment of the check, sometimes we try to raise the amount or on the check. The alternation in the names of the parties, the relation between them and affecting their legal status, try to change the name of the parties is not allowed. The substitution of the word bearer in the place of the order in the check, sometimes the pay try to change the word instead of the bearer, he try to order write down the person, he try to check on the bearer, means he get the immediate money, but it is the not allowed the any alternation other than the drawer. And whenever the any alternation the made by the drawer, that time the bank take the signature and the intimation from the drawer. An alternation of the crossing on the check, but some alternation which does not affect the mandate of the drawer or the position of the parties. So there is no mandate and there is no intimation given by the customer, and sometimes some crossing on the check, the account pay only on the other thing, there will be not allowed by the paying bank. Crossing of an open check by the holder, the conversion of an endorsement in the blank into the endorsement in full. These are the material alternations. So bank take the precaution when they give amount of the pay and the passing of the check or honoring of the customer check. So these are the material alternation examples. The next is the payment of the mutilated checks. So another thing is the check is one which is the torn into the two or more pieces. Sometimes the damage the check from the customer side or by mistake. So the banker should examine carefully the ascertain in the check was the mutilated with the intention to the cancel it. Sometimes the customer or the drawer is intention to cancel the check, that's why he torn into the two pieces or four pieces check, and somebody join these pieces and present to the check for the payment. It is the fraud check and the fraud thing. So payment of the mutilated check, that will be thing the bank will be checked. So these are the things we looking into this lecture. The term of paying bank are refer to the position and duties of the drawer bank with the payment of the check draw on its by its customer. So paying banker under to honor his customer check up to amount the credit balance in the current of the limit any agreed overdraft under the condition the stipulated section 126 and 27 and 129. So paying banker is the banker who paid the customer check in the behalf of their customers to the pay. And there are certain things need to the precaution whenever the paying bank they pay the customer check, like the open and cross check. When the check is the general crossing or the special crossing, and where the check is the payable, the particular place is the mention or not. The mutilated check or wrongful check, there is the necessary to check by the bank the correctness of form, where the printed form is written correctly by customer or not. The risk in honoring post dated or stale check when the amount is word and figure is not matched, and not paid the out of banking hours of check and rising the amount in the case of the fraud check. Check with the material alternation into the debt, alternation in the amount or any endorsement. The payment of mutilated check, the check is torn in 2 or 3 pieces. That time it is the intention of the customer is the cancellation. So there should be taken by bank proper care to whenever the paying the customer check to the third party or pay. References for this topic, you can use the Nirali publication book and the Success publication book for this point. Paying banker and precaution to taken by the paying banker whenever paying the customer checks. So next is the assignment question for you. What are the precautions taken by the paying banker to payment of customer checks, and short notes on or the 2 marks question, what is the paying bank? So what is paying bank and what are the precautions taken by the paying banker to payment of customer check? It is the assignment question on this point. So thank you for watching this video. In the next time, in the next lecture, we will looking the next point in the topic number 3, the paying banker. The next is the duties and rights of the paying banker. Thank you.